Got here the Infinite Optics DXR-8 baby monitor camera. The problem we were having is it stopped moving up and down. The side-to-side camera motion was working just fine, but it would no longer want to go down when we were pressing down on the monitor button to make the camera go down. So I've taken it apart. I'm starting this video halfway through the process, but I just want to show you the steps. First, you pop these little guys off the bottom. So those four little spots there just have the little feet shoved in there. So pull those out with some tweezers. And there's four simple screws to take out. And then you'll be looking at something like this. And then there's three screws here to take out. 1, 2, 3 over there. And then, yeah, I think the antenna had a screw, and then these two motor mounts. And then the next part, it's a little tough with one hand, but if you see that big, wide, the large gear there, there's 4 screws holding that gear down. That's what does the side-to-side motion running off of this little motor here. So you just kind of have to pull this circuit board up off the posts, and you don't have a lot of room because the wires are holding it down, but basically rotate this once you get it up off the 4 posts just a little bit, is about as much room as you can. And then as you rotate it, you'll find a spot where you can get your small screwdriver down to get those 4 screws out. So then once those 4 come out, then you'll be looking at something like this, where that hangs off to the side. And on here, that little guy right there was just pressed down over those 2 little posts. So you just grab some small needle nose pliers, pull that off. And then now I'm at the point where this case will separate here in the back, but in the front, if you notice those little gray kind of prongs sticking through, those are holding on that gray faceplate. And so I'm just gonna push on each of those, kind of pop, 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 pop. Looks like there's about 6 of them. And I assume once that pops out, then these 2 halves will separate. Yep, so sure enough, I just took that thin pocket knife there, slid it under the front, and just kind of gently pried, and it's coming right out. All right, so once you get these 2 side pieces separated, like I said, you take off that guy, and then you just gently pry them apart. Oh, and you take off that faceplate right there. Yeah, I thought maybe these side pieces pull off of the middle round piece, but I don't think so. So as you can see, I took my slender pocket knife, stuck it in this gap of the actual round middle ball piece, the main camera housing, and I'm splitting that open. So you can see there's a little gap there, so I'm just going to gently pry in that gap, and hopefully that's what I'm supposed to do. I looked it all over and don't see any screws holding it, so I think it's just a press fit. So whether you want to call that a press fit or little tabs, there are about 4 little tabs. I think I broke one of them, but yeah, just use your knife to gently pry. Try not to break them, but you might break one. And then it'll come apart just like that. Our culprit motor and gears are down in there, so we're gonna have to take off this screw. There's another one down there on the bottom right. I think just those 2, so I'm gonna take those 2 out and I'll let you know what happens. After I remove those 2, it all came out like this, so now I can access this motor. So I'm gonna take those 2 motor mounting screws off and hopefully expect to find a gear or 2 under there that I can see if they're broken or just need some lubrication. You remove those 2 motor mount screws, then you have that motor there with the little gear, and then the final gear is inside there, and there's that one screw right in the middle. So I'm gonna take that out so I can inspect that gear. Thankfully I don't see any broken pieces of the gear, so we're just gonna lube it up with some silicone grease and put it all back together. Hopefully it fixes it. I put it back together. I'm just gonna make sure the motors are working. So plugged it in, hit the power button over here. Should now be on. There's what we're looking at. Let's see, where's the camera pointing? Okay, it's There's my monitor. It's pointing right here at my finger. There's my finger. Okay, if you look closely at that motor, as I'm going up, it's turning that direction. Down was the problem. It's turning both directions. Looks like the same speed. Side to side, we already knew it was working, but just to see what that looks like. So I'm gonna give it some new lube and put it back together, and hopefully it works better because I don't see any broken parts. All right, we got it back together. Now we're gonna test it, see if that improved anything. Let's dry up and down. Seems to be working a little better. There's still a little hesitation. It could just be the motors a little worn out because the gears are all fine, but it is getting the job done. And before, it wouldn't really go down, so the best test will be after a couple days whether it's still working. But anyways, hopefully you found this video helpful, at least to take apart your DXR-8 camera from Infant Optics. Maybe you have another issue you need to diagnose. Maybe your speaker went out. Who knows? But hopefully you have benefited from this video, learning how to take that camera apart. And I'll catch you on the next one.